Zenji for the Commodore 64, originally designed and written by Matthew Hubbard for Atari 8-bit computers. And look, it's that man again, Adam Bellin. A man we can all be thankful of for his conversions of the classic games such as Ghostbusters and Murder on the Mississippi. Zenji became Matthew Hubbard's biggest original title, but then he wasn't very long in the game industry anyway. Previously, I'd always thought he was related to the mighty Rob Hubbard, but I couldn't have been further from the truth with that. Matthew was a game designer, programmer, and self-proclaimed dolphin enthusiast. I can't imagine that anyone from Hull would be interested in dolphins, that's for sure. Here we have an odd little action puzzler, which you don't really hear talked about much. Maybe it was because it was always listed on the other end of the alphabet. You know, like getting picked last if your name is Zach Zimmerman. As a matter of fact, I missed this one completely when Activision first released it in 1984. It wasn't until the 1987 budget re-release from Firebird that it eventually caught my attention. At the start of the game, the screen contains a central green block, surrounded by an array of hexagonal blocks, which increase in size as play progresses. Each block holds a section of grey track, either straight, T-shaped or cross-shaped, which can all be rotated through 90 degrees by guiding a rolling head onto them and pushing the joystick left or right to turn the tile. The simple objective to Zenji, and to complete each screen, is to connect all of the tiles together to form a continuous track. Crazy concept, simple, yet very, very addictive. The screen depicts a series of blue and yellow hexagons connected by grey, maze-like sections of track. You control a face, starting from the green centre segment and guiding it along the tracks. A section of track on which the face rests can be rotated about its centre 90 degrees at a time. Turning different sections in this way alters the layout of the maze, and any section of track that connects directly to the source is turned green. The ultimate aim, as previously mentioned and just to reiterate, is to rearrange the maze so it becomes one unbroken track, and therefore turns completely green. Obviously, there has to be something to prevent you from doing this, or it wouldn't be much of a game. And, you've guessed it, you've got to do all of this against the clock. You basically carry on uninterrupted at first until the timer runs out. If you're successful, then the next maze is larger and, therefore, harder. If you aren't successful and run out of time, well, you lose a life. Being a puzzle game really requires all that much from graphics. The only important thing is to be functional, so that the game is as easy to play as it needs to be, and it pretty much works, even though initially it does tend to be a little garish. The great thing about puzzle games, and good puzzle games in particular, is that when you get the gameplay honed to perfection, there's nothing more you actually require from the game. Decent graphics and sounds that enhance the overall mood and theme of the game are always nice, but not necessary. If it sounds easy, then believe me, it isn't. When you turn one element, you may in some cases disconnect half of the elements from the central one. I also nearly forgot to mention that, in an attempt to make the game harder, there are creatures which can move around the track and sometimes fire at you. I have no idea what these are, but they look like steaming baked potatoes. Come on, it was 1984 when this game came out. You know, around the same time as Manic Miner's bunch of crazy ideas for enemies, so they could be anything for all I know. The manual tells you to direct Zenji through the microcircuits of the Zelta-B reactor to provide a continuous circuit, but don't run out of time, or the Proteo converter power source will inevitably atomize you. At least we know that Zenji is the name of your character at least. It also tells you, try forcing the enemies up into an area separate from the rest of the puzzle, then rotate a piece to cut them off, so that they can't reach you. Then you're free to finish the rest of the puzzle more quickly, without having to waste time dodging enemies. Finally, make a bridge to the last unconnected area where the enemies are trapped to finish the maze. That sounds too complicated to this old brain, but hopefully you can use this knowledge to your advantage. give it a whirl and let me know what you think. Thanks for watching guys, hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, click subscribe if you're enjoying the nostalgia, and definitely stick around for more Commodore 64 gaming memories. Hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Until then, bye for now.